A few years ago, the subject of UFOs was considered taboo, something relegated to the realm of science fiction. However, recently, NASA and the Pentagon have announced that they are actively monitoring these crafts entering our atmosphere. Latest reports state that fighter pilots from the Navy have had a close encounter with these mysterious objects. Let's take a closer look. Discussion of unidentified flying objects, or as they have recently been rebranded, unidentified aerial phenomena, was long relegated to society's fringes. The topic was toxic, and many people avoided serious engagement with it out of fear of being branded a crackpot. But that has begun to change in the past few years. Prominent scientists now openly push for serious study of UFOs, and the U.S. Navy recently drew up new guidelines that encourage pilots to report curious or confusing sky sights. People have seen intriguing or confounding objects in the sky for as long as we've been looking up. Over the eons, for example, many different cultures have regarded meteors and comets as supernatural phenomena, or at least process them through a supernatural lens. These dramatic skylights have been deemed manifestations of a deity's displeasure or interpreted as signs that something wonderful, terrible, or simply consequential is soon to happen. The UFO phenomenon as we know it today is much more recent, dating to the era of powered flight. The first sighting started during World War II when Allied pilots in both the European and Pacific theaters reported seeing puzzling lights or objects in the sky. They called these curiosities Foo Fighters. Then, in June 1947, American businessman and aviator Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 shiny, mysterious crafts zipping through the skies near Washington's Mount Rainier. Some newspaper stories describe these UFOs as flying discs or flying saucers, and the latter term soon wormed its way into the public consciousness. UFO reports surged in the wake of Arnold's sighting, some of them even winding up in the pages of the New York Times. One of the items the Times picked up was the discovery of some seemingly exotic wreckage on a ranch in Lincoln County, New Mexico in 1947. In July of that year, a public information officer at the nearby Roswell Army Airfield described the debris as a flying disc, briefly igniting a firestorm of confused interest. Army officials quickly retracted that statement, explaining that the material in question was the remains of a crashed weather balloon, and the Roswell incident faded into obscurity. The U.S. military, concerned that some of these UFOs might pose a threat to national security, soon began to investigate sightings systematically. The more well-known Project Blue Book got started in 1952 and ran until 1969, examining more than 12,600 UFO reports along the way. One of the sightings Project Blue Book investigated was that of Betty and Barney Hill, who claimed they were captured and examined by extraterrestrials in rural New Hampshire in September 1961. The couple's account started getting picked up by newspapers in 1965, becoming the first ever widely publicized alien abduction story. UFO sightings didn't end when Project Blue Book wrapped up, of course. They've kept on rolling in over the decades. Some of the most famous ones in the past half-century include that of Travis Walton, an Arizona man whose 1975 alien abduction claim was dramatized in the 1993 film Fire in the Sky, the Rendlesham Forest Incident, a string of mysterious observations near England's Royal Air Force Woodbridge Station in December 1980, and the Phoenix Lights, which confused many Arizonans in March 1997. And, in November 2004, several U.S. Navy pilots flying off the coast of San Diego reported seeing bizarre craft zooming through the sky, seemingly maneuvering in ways that exceeded the limits of known technology. Other Navy pilots had similar experiences off the U.S. East Coast a decade later, making a series of intriguing observations from June 2014 to March 2015. The pilots captured infrared video of some of these encounters using their onboard camera systems. 3 of these videos went viral in December 2017 when the New York Times published them as part of a blockbuster story about a previously secret military UFO investigating effort called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or ATIP for short. The program ran from 2007 until a funding phase-out in 2012. UFOs are undeniably real. People often see things in the sky that they can't identify. But that doesn't necessarily mean there's anything exotic going on. For example, the 1947 Roswell debris actually came from a high-altitude balloon lofted by the U.S. military as part of Project Mogul, a secret program that searched for evidence of atomic bomb tests by the Soviet Union. And the 1997 Phoenix Lights were likely caused by high-flying planes and a military flare-dropping exercise. Alien abduction stories are more complicated as they tend to involve more psychological components. Project Blue Book got to the bottom of the vast majority of the 12,600 sightings it investigated, ascribing most of them to natural phenomena, such as clouds, stars, and bright planets. The Air Force researchers could not explain 701 of the encounters, but they concluded that none displayed evidence of otherworldly technology or posed a threat to national security. Still, the ET idea should not be dismissed or ridiculed, as some sightings remain unexplained. One question that gets brought up regularly is that if UFOs are real, where are all the aliens? The Fermi paradox seeks to answer these questions. The idea states that given that our solar system is quite young compared to the rest of the universe, roughly 4.5 billion years old compared to 13.8 billion, and that interstellar travel might be fairly easy to achieve given enough time, Earth should have been visited by aliens already. The paradox takes its name from Nobel Prize-winning physicist Enrico Fermi, who supposedly made these famous points during a casual, lunchtime conversation in 1950. And the implications have had astrobiologists and other scientists scratching their heads in the decades since. Fermi grasped that any civilization with a modest amount of rocket technology and an immodest amount of imperial incentive could rapidly colonize the entire galaxy. Within a few tens of millions of years, every star system could be brought under the wing of an empire. Tens of millions of years may sound like a long project, but in fact it's quite short compared to the age of the galaxy, which is roughly 1,000 times more. Fermi died in 1954, so exploration and explanation of the idea fell to other people, such as Michael Hart, who wrote an article titled "An Explanation for the Absence of Extraterrestrials on Earth" in the Royal Astronomical Society Quarterly Journal in 1975. Hart argued that intelligent aliens could already have visited Earth at some point in our planet's history, unless they started their journey less than 2 million years ago. He thought the apparent lack of such visits is most likely due to the lack of intelligent aliens. However, he outlined other potential explanations as well. One is that aliens never came here because of a physical difficulty that makes space travel infeasible, which could be related to astronomy, biology, or engineering. He also states that they may simply have chosen not to visit us, or perhaps they already have at some point, but we have not observed them. The universe is incredibly vast and old. Data gathered by a variety of telescopes show that the observable universe is about 92 billion light-years wide. So alien civilizations have had plenty of time to arise and spread, but they also likely must cross a vast cosmic gulf to get to us. When Fermi made his famous remark, the only planets scientists knew about were in our own solar system. But in 1992, astronomers spotted worlds circling a super-dense stellar corpse known as a pulsar. And a few years later, the first exoplanet around a sun-like star was confirmed. There are now more than 4,500 confirmed exoplanets, with more being found every year. The sheer number of alien worlds suggests that life may be plentiful throughout the cosmos. Over time, with more advanced telescopes, scientists will be able to probe the chemical compositions of some nearby exoplanets' atmospheres. Nearby is a relative term. However, the closest known exoplanet, Proxima b, lies about 4.2 light-years away, which is roughly 25 trillion miles. The eventual goal is to understand how often rocky planets form in the habitable zone of their parent stars, which is traditionally defined as the range of orbital distances in which water can exist on a world's surface. Habitability isn't just about water, however. Other factors must be considered as well, such as the host star's activity and the planet's atmospheric composition. Such caveats notwithstanding, there does seem to be plenty of habitable real estate out there. For example, a November 2013 study using data from NASA's Kepler Space Telescope suggested that 1 in 5 sun-like stars has a roughly Earth-sized planet orbiting in the habitable zone. Such missions and instruments will help scientists flesh out their understanding of astrobiology, which remains relatively primitive. For instance, we don't even know if there are life-hosting worlds in our backyard. Studies here on Earth have shown that microbes can survive in extreme environments, suggesting that microbial life may well exist on Mars, Europa, Enceladus, and the giant Saturn satellite Titan. But we haven't explored any of those worlds nearly well enough to know for sure. The Fermi paradox is thinking much bigger than microbes, however. To solve it, we need to know not only how commonly life evolves on alien planets, but also how often it gains the ability and the desire to communicate with other intelligent life forms or go sailing among the stars. After years of silence, the Pentagon and NASA have finally revealed that they have been tracking UAPs entering the airspace. Pentagon officials speaking at the first public hearing on UFOs since the 1960s have shown previously classified footage of an unidentified aerial phenomenon, a split-second video of a metallic sphere zooming across the flight path of a military jet. The object, captured through the cockpit window of an FA-18 fighter jet in 2021, was also seen by the Navy pilot flying the jet and picked up by the plane's sensors. But what exactly it could be remains a mystery. Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence Scott Bray presented the video to representatives during a public hearing held by a House Intelligence Subcommittee that saw lawmakers grill him and one other intelligence and defense expert on multiple reports by military pilots of mysterious unidentified aerial phenomena. The focus of the hearing was a June 2021 Pentagon report that revealed U.S. Navy pilots had reported 144 sightings of UAPs since 2004, most of which, the department concluded, probably do represent physical objects. Of the 144 UAP sightings included in the June 2021 report, 18 displayed extremely unusual flight behaviors, with the mysterious objects appearing to remain stationary in winds aloft, move against the wind, maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. Released video clips also showed some of these ostensibly propulsion-less crafts moving at hypersonic speeds, and one piece of footage captured by the U.S. Navy appears to show a spherical UFO hovering in midair while bouncing from side to side before plunging into the ocean. Another video released during the hearing showed a night vision recording of multiple flashing triangles gliding through the air. This time, the officials did have an explanation, saying that they were visual artifacts produced by the dim light of drones flying overhead as the light passed into the night vision goggles. The hearing was an attempt by lawmakers to bring a degree of transparency to the process through which the Pentagon's investigating the unexplained sightings and to destigmatize the reporting of strange aerial phenomena. Despite this push for transparency, much of what defense and intelligence experts know about the sightings, alongside the technology they use to detect them, remains classified for national security reasons. The public hearing was followed by a closed second hearing reserved for classified information. The 2021 report isn't the only recent disclosure that the U.S. government has been secretly documenting: the strange, seemingly unexplained activity. In April, a Freedom of Information Act request brought more than 1,500 pages of UFO-related documents to public scrutiny. The document database, created by the Defense Intelligence Agency's secretive Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program that ran from 2007 to 2012, included reports on more than 300 medical accounts of supposed human interaction with UFOs, some of which included burn injuries, brain damage, nerve damage, heart palpitations, and headaches from alleged close encounters with anomalous vehicles. If you like this video, you may also like this one, which talks about the JWST and its detection of water on WASP-96b. Do you think UAPs are a threat to humanity? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below.